I have an £80,000 net worth at 22 years old, and the main reason I was able to do this was because I chose to do a degree apprenticeship instead of university. So in today's video, I'm going to be walking through a load of questions that you've asked about degree apprenticeships so you can understand whether you actually want to do one and if you think they're actually a good fit for you. So the first question, and this gives a great amount of context to the video, is what actually was your degree apprenticeship? So I did a management consulting degree apprenticeship program where I worked as a management consultant 4 days a week and then studied towards a degree in project management on the 5th day of the week. Every apprenticeship works slightly differently when it comes to university, but with mine it was completely online. My university was in Northumbria and I'm down in Bath, so obviously a very long distance away. So practically every single week of the 4 years I would have a university lecture, so I did still earn the same amount of credits and study the same topics as any regular student doing project management would. Because we were working every single week of the year, we squeezed that 3-year course into 4 years. And for those who don't know what a management consultant is basically a fancy term for a business consultant. And of course at the ripe old age of 18 I didn't know a lot about business, and that's the whole point of the apprenticeship. You're not there to start advising straight away. The program's built to help you learn and understand how the business world works. So I worked for a global project management consultancy firm with offices all over the world. I was obviously based in the UK and worked on majority public service contracts. This means basically working for different government departments. I can't go into too much detail about what these projects actually were because they are confidential, but some of them were super cool. It was a lot of stress, especially in the last few years where I did have more experience and was therefore pushed in my role a lot more to deliver for my clients. So as I said, my degree was once a week online all year round, but there were other apprentices who actually end up going to a physical campus, and there are also apprentices who have a hybrid model. So it completely depends on the program you choose and what you end up doing with the university. So the next question is, did you actually do any work or was it all coffee runs? Now, although I did a lot of coffee runs, that was because of my own free will. And yes, I did actually do a lot of genuine work, and I think people really underestimate how much work apprentices actually do. In the first year of the apprenticeship, yes, a lot of apprentices do end up just doing basic level admin work, but for the majority of apprentices after that first year, they actually end up going into roles that surpass graduates or even senior consultants. For example, in my 3rd year of my apprenticeship, I was doing the role of a senior consultant whilst getting paid an apprentice salary. But that's because the people in my company and my team I was with believed in me and saw that I could actually accomplish the work I was doing and didn't just label my abilities based on my title of being an apprentice. So at the end of the day, whether you end up just doing coffee runs or if you end up actually managing projects or managing clients within your first few years completely depends on how you perform and how you present yourself in the company. Next question is, why did I choose a degree apprenticeship over uni? I think as soon as I found out about degree apprenticeships, the thought of university honestly completely left my mind. I was honestly just sick of being in school and full-time education. I just wanted to enter the real world, start working, start earning an actual wage. And I think one of the biggest parts of it as well is you get your degree for free. So obviously there's massive debate going on right now about student loans and how extortionate they are and how much money people are paying. I have absolutely zero student debt from my degree. My company and the government paid for it because it's a degree apprenticeship scheme. So yeah, I think the mixture between be able to work and also do uni at the same time, earn a full-time wage, was probably what pulled me to doing an apprenticeship instead of getting full-time uni. I'm also not a massive drinker or partier, so that sort of uni life part of the uni experience didn't really entice me. Again, not saying I'm better than any university students for doing this over going to full-time university. I think it's just a different mindset that I had to normal uni students, which again, is not good or bad, just different. Next question is, what are the cons of doing a degree apprenticeship? There are 3 main cons for me. The first one is being that it is very stressful. Not only are you working a full-time job, but you are also studying towards a degree on top of it. So trying to balance the different expectations between your company. Oh God. What was I saying? So trying to balance the different responsibilities of what your company expect from you, what your client expects from you, and also what your university lecturers expect from you is a lot. Second part is that you don't get that uni life if that's what you're looking for and that's something you'd want. You do have to be in the office most days a week. You do have to be logged onto your computer most likely at 9 a.m. Can't afford to be going out at 11 p.m, strolling back into bed at 4 a.m, and then logging on a few hours later. Like, you do have to have a structured routine. I'm not saying all uni students don't, but that traditional uni life and partying and going out 4 or 5 times a week is not attainable when doing a degree apprenticeship. And the third con, and I'm not sure to be honest if this is a con or not, but you have to be able to adapt and mature really quickly to the corporate environment. You have to change your personality a little bit to suit that corporate persona. You can't just start shouting 6-7 memes and, you know, any other brain rot that Gen Z talk about. It is most likely a very professional environment you'll be going into, and you have to be able to adapt to that. You can sometimes feel like a bit of an imposter for it. It did take me quite quite a few months to sort of understand the balance between my true personality and my corporate personality, but you do get there eventually. But I suppose the con is that it is a difficult situation to try and adapt to and sort of understand what is your actual personality and what is your corporate personality. And in general, you just end up maturing a lot more because you have a lot more stress, you have a lot more responsibilities to manage, and you're also just surrounded by more mature people all the time. Next question is sort of related to my last point, is did I ever feel like imposter? Yes. 100%. The first one is obviously being an imposter to myself and putting on this corporate facade. I did feel like I wasn't being my true self at some points because I was being this slight corporate robot. But as I said, you sort of get used to that and it's whatever. But the second part, and where I did feel like more of an imposter and faced massive imposter syndrome, was during projects and client work, feeling like I wasn't good enough to be there. Some of the clients I worked for were extremely important people in the government, and for me to just be sat there in the same room as them or even emailing them about things was really daunting and made me think, oh my god, do I really deserve to be here? Like, why am I here out of everyone? But I think at the end of the day I realised, you know what, I'm doing a good job, I'm getting good feedback, these people are welcoming me into these rooms, into these discussions. The only reason I'm feeling like an imposter is because I'm putting that on myself. No one else thinks so. And also a lot of the time people didn't even know that I was an apprentice, people didn't know that I was 18, 19, 20 years old, they just assumed I was a graduate. So I think with imposter syndrome, the worse you feel about yourself, the worse that imposter syndrome gets. You've just got to fake it till you make it. Try and learn as much as possible to back yourself and get more confidence. Put yourself into tricky situations to grow and develop more. And eventually it will go away. But it did take a few years for me. Next question is, did you find it stressful and how did you cope with it? Yes, absolutely. It was very stressful. But I did enjoy it as well. So I suppose that stress sort of counterbalanced with the enjoyment. As I said, it is a lot of work and it is a lot of pressure, not only from your client, but also the university. So you will get stressed. That is almost guaranteed. And how I balanced it, honestly, for the most part, it was the gym. The gym would be my main form of stress relief, also relying on the other apprentices in my cohort to sort of reiterate my stresses with them and complain and shout out as though that was a safe space for me to do so, which is why I'm also grateful that I joined with 8 other apprentices. We had a really nice community and there were also lots of apprentices in year above, so we were able to vent and build a community within work. And that moves on to our next question, which is, how did you balance the social life? And it sort of confuses me a little bit when people say, oh, how on earth did you have a social life as an apprentice? At the end of the day, you know, you're working those 4 days a week, you've still got the evenings, and then the one day you're doing university, that's very flexible. I'd go into town most of the time and just go sit in a cafe and do my lectures. So I've got most of that day to do basically what I wanted, and also the evening. You've also got weekends, which, because you've already done your work from 9 to 5 and you've had your uni day, you don't usually have to do any work on the weekends, although I did end up doing quite a lot of uni work on the weekends. You know, I think there's so much more time than you realise to do things that you want to do. You have the evenings, you have the weekends, you have bank holidays, you have your minimum 25 days of annual leave a year for you to do whatever you want to do with it. There definitely is time, it's just how you balance and prioritise different tasks to make that work for you. Next one is, how much did I earn? So it's a big topic, I think, especially because I talk about my net worth, and I was able to save £40,000 by the end of my apprenticeship. It was a big question, and I actually wasn't on that much money. Obviously for my age it was a lot, and because I was living at home as well, that definitely helped with my disposable income, but for a normal job it wasn't that much. I started on 18,500 and I ended up finishing on about 35,000, so you can sort of figure out what the pay rises were in between there. I think the average salary in the UK is about £39,000, so I was still below the average salary, but because, again, I was living at home and I was really responsibly saving and investing my money. And I was also contributing towards my workplace pension, which was, I think, about 8%, which my workplace also matched. I was able to save up a lot of money. But yeah, I honestly wasn't on anything like groundbreaking. Next question is, what was the application process like? So obviously I applied for my apprenticeship, God, it's like ages ago, like 5 years ago now. So it might have changed a little bit since then, but based off my experience and what I've seen from other people speaking about it these days, it usually starts with your regular application form, what's your name, date of birth, blah, 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 and usually it will ask for your predicted grades, assuming you haven't already done your A-levels and you've got your grades. So that'll be filtered through, and then you'll go into the next round, which is some longer form questions. So there might be like 3 to 5 questions where you have to write a 250 word response or something, such as, why do you want to do this apprenticeship? Why do you want to do this role? Why do you want to work in this industry? Tell us about a strength of yours. Something like that, just a bit of a longer form response where they can judge your grammar, how you write, how you respond to questions, things like that. Once you've done that and passed, you'll then most likely go on to an interview, which will either be on the telephone or it'll be a pre-recorded interview where it comes up on your computer, you have to press go and they ask you a question and you record yourself. Or very back in the day, it would be in person, but I just don't think they do that anymore. In this interview, I'll ask you general questions, again, similar to long form questions. Why do you choose an apprenticeship? Why do you want this role? Why do you think you'd be good for this role? Tell us about yourself, tell us a weakness. And the main thing to remember here is to A, show off your personality, make small talk with the interviewer. The person interviewing you will most likely be on your team or relevant to your team if you got the job, so make sure you build a little bit of rapport with them. At the end of the day, if they don't like you and if they don't think they could work with you, they most likely wouldn't want to hire you. Do research on the company because they will very likely ask you about the company. What's your favourite client of ours? What's your favourite project? How many employees do we have? Something like that, you know, to make sure you've actually researched and want to work for the company. You don't want them to think you're just applying for random jobs and you have no idea about anything about the company. And also ask questions at the end, even if they're questions you know the answer to. Just show that you have initiative and that you're keen to understand about apprenticeships and the company. Oh, and a bonus one is use the STAR method to structure your responses to questions. STAR method is basically a way that you can respond to questions that tick all of the interviewer's box. S is situation, T is task, A is action, and R is result. So if I was to ask you a question such as, tell me about a time when you demonstrated leadership. Speak about the situation, give context to what the situation was. Maybe you were in school and it was a school project or something like that. T, task. Talk about what the general task was for your team. What was the aim? What was the goal? What were the challenges? A, action. What you did specifically to demonstrate this skill of leadership, for example. And R, what the result was. Because of my leadership, we were then able to reach this result or hit this goal or get this feedback, something like that. So a great tip is before your interview, have a look at the job criteria, have a look at the main skills they would be looking out for, and go through and make examples for all of those different skills through the STAR method. So you have some type of idea in your mind. If you are asked one of these questions about leadership, for example, you've already got written down, oh, I did this, it was this situation. It just helps you be a little bit more prepared. So after these first few stages, you then may go into some psychometric tests. These are some online tests that judge your English and maths ability. They're not too tricky, but they do just help the company understand how you are mathematically and grammatically, and also understand your way of thinking. You'll then most likely get admitted into an assessment centre, which is actually the next question. Do you have any tips for assessment centres? So an assessment centre, to give a bit of context, is a half day or a full day where you and all the other final applicants are put in a room, either virtually or in person, and are asked to do different tasks, presentations, anything else random to basically let the company see how you work with others and how you thrive in a team. So for mine, I was given a case study basically about a pseudo project that the company had done. And they said to us, make a presentation based off this project on how you would relay the findings back to the client. So then me and another guy went away, we did a bit of a presentation, then we presented it back. Another one might be, okay, here's the situation, write us an email on what you would respond to this, and then individually you'd have to go away and write an email and send it back. Little tasks like that, either individually or in a group, just so, as I said, the company can see how you work with others or individually and just get to know you a little bit more. My main tips for this is firstly, make sure there is no pre-reading or pre-work that you need to do, because I know quite a few people who got to the last stages of assessment centres and recruitment and they didn't realise until the day that they had pre-work they needed to do, and obviously if you're not done that, straight away no. So email the recruitment team or whoever you've been in contact with before the assessment centre and just make sure there's no work you need to do beforehand. My next tip is to just be confident and be yourself. Don't be too shy, don't be too empowering. Make sure you allow others to speak and make sure you get people involved if they're being quiet. So just show off your personality in a healthy way. And thirdly, as well, again, just be polite to people, build up rapport, build up relationships with people if you can, and ask questions. Again, even if you know the answer to the question, even if you've understood the task perfectly, ask a question to show that you're confident enough to ask for help when you need it, and also show that you're actually listening and paying attention and are keen to learn. Because those are two qualities that recruiters look out for when hiring apprentices, is that they are willing to learn and that they can actually ask for help. And then after the assessment centre, you might have one more interview, but usually the assessment centre is the last stage and you'll either got an offer or rejection. Just in general here, whatever stage you might get rejected at, because I can always guarantee you will not get every single apprenticeship you apply for, is to ask for feedback on why you didn't get the role. I know it's tricky and I know you don't usually want to hear feedback, but it's so helpful in helping you understand where you went wrong and helps you in your future applications. Next question is, do I get a guaranteed job at the end of my apprenticeship? This is different for everyone. I personally was under the assumption assumption that I performed well and the company are happy to keep me on. Some companies, they do tie you in after a couple years of finishing the apprenticeships. They may say, okay, yeah, we'll pay for your degree and blah, blah, blah for 4 years, but then you have to work for us for another 2 years. And I personally think that's a bit of a red flag in a company. So, but yeah, some people choose to leave their companies, some people choose to stay. Majority of the time, companies do want to keep you on because they've paid for your training, they've developed you for the last 4 years. So why would they want to kick you out? But yeah, some companies are more strict than others. So feel free to ask that question at any interview stages you have. And the last question is, did I ever regret my choice? I'm going to be completely honest here and say at points, yes, I did regret my choice, or I did doubt myself and think, oh my gosh, have I made the right choice? Because going straight from sixth form to this corporate job was a lot. So yes, it was very overwhelming, especially being in that environment and seeing my friends who had gone to university living their best lives, having a lot less responsibility. But after that first year, I didn't really go through a point where I regretted it. You know, I'm very grateful for the net worth I've been able to build up. I'm very grateful for the network that I have. I've met some amazing people. I've worked with some amazing people. I've developed mentors across industries and companies. Despite working this full-time job and having a degree, I did also have a great social life. You know, the company put on boat parties for us. We had Christmas parties. We had different social events with the apprentices and the graduates. I went away with clients on client events, and I was able to experience some amazing places and meet some incredible people in the government. Although I didn't have that traditional uni experience, I still was able to create my own experiences, which honestly I treasure a lot more than just going out drinking. And I know that's not just what uni is about, but... And also I was able to make enough money that when I did go out with my friends, I could actually spend that money and not feel a financial pressure on me. I've left this apprenticeship now having 4 years of experience, a debt-free degree from a credible university, and 4 years worth of salary and savings. So yeah, it definitely was tough and it definitely was the hard route, but no doubt about it now, it was 100% the right choice for me. So I hope that was insightful. I hope that answered some major questions that people may have had. Please do let me know if you have any more questions, and yeah, I'll be more than happy to respond to them.